The host has started broadcasting the meeting on Facebook.
All right. Bula Vinaka. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Talofalava, Bula Vinaka, Malolile, Kia orana, Kia ora, aloha, and warm Pacific greetings to you all across the Moana, across the world. And I hope that you can hear us clearly on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday here on this side of the dateline, and Thursday on the other side of the dateline. So for us here in the United States, here in California, is 8 minutes past 5 on Wednesday afternoon. And I understand in American Samoa, where we will be connecting to, it's 8 minutes past 1 in the afternoon on Wednesday. So we're on the same side of the dateline. Yeah? So Vinaka Wakalevu, thank you so much for those of you who have been following my Wednesday webinars. This is an opportunity for my students here at the California State University in Los Angeles to join me, and also the opportunity not only joining me, but also many of my colleagues from across the Pacific. And it's been an honor, it's been a pleasure to be hosting different individuals. I call them heritage specialists who have come in from the islands of Saipan, from Guam, from Palau, from the Federated States of Micronesia, particularly the two islands of Pohnpei and Chuuk State. And also the week before that, we were traveling to the Republic of the Marshall Islands. So it's been really a wonderful opportunity for many of us who have been working together. Last year, we were at a special gathering in Palm Springs here in California, where we were attending for the very first time, attending this gathering of heritage specialists in the field of archives, of libraries and museums. And it is called the Association of Tribal Archives, Library and Museums here in the United States. So we were able to meet, I think there was over 1,000 participants who were in one location in Palm Springs, and it was a very enriching opportunity for many of us who have just seen each other on the television screen or may have heard of our nations or our countries through the news. But it was so special that we could be able to be in one location at the same time and being empowered so that we can share our stories with one another. So when the conference finished, we all left and returned to our islands. And then I was sitting here and I was thinking, you know what? There was so much richness amongst ourselves when we were there, 20 of us from the Pacific. And I thought that it'll be great to invite our attendees or our representatives from the northern part of Oceania and American Samoa to come along and be part of my Talanoa series. And so my students here in California at Cal State LA have been so spoiled because they're able to not only hear the stories from this part of the world that they often just hear about, but they can actually see a person from there. So last week we had Erica, our archaeologist from American Samoa, who was here sharing her story of how she moved back to her nation in American Samoa, and that's where she's working right now as one of the leading archaeologists. And today, within the same sphere, in American Samoa, we're going to be talking about a lot of topics regarding the arts of Samoa. And so we have our guest who's here with us, Regi Meredith Fitiao, who willingly agreed to be the second person from American Samoa. Next week, we'll have another speaker. And then on the first week of May, we will also have our last and final speaker. So we will leave the best as our last speaker. So something to look forward to. Yeah. So keep coming on to my page, and also you'll be seeing a lot of my posters that I will be sharing with everybody. So for those of you who are watching online, you're welcome to also ask questions and share your stories with or ask any questions so that Regi can answer them. Or the other way around, you can also share your story, and I can be able to share it with Regi. Yeah, so that's a kind of like a very organic way of Talanoa. Yeah, so thank you so much, everybody, and also for those of you who are joining me for the very first time, if you can write down on the chat where you're connecting in from, which island in the Pacific. Yeah, that way I can be able to greet you and acknowledge the country where you are connecting in from. So today, as you all know, I always play a music that is chosen by the speaker. So I have a very special music um, which is sung, and there's ukulele as well played in the background by Atualevao Heinrich King Kong Meredith, and is supported by Samoa Meredith. So they're both brothers. And I won't say who they are until our guest speaker will come on and tell us who the singers are. Okay, so that's the plan. Enjoy this beautiful music. It's 3 minutes long. And I will also do something very interesting. While we're listening to the music, I will try my best to also share some photos. So I've never done this before. This is a new technological advancement for me. So, as Samoans often do, they always come up with bright ideas. And in this case, this Fijian lady will have to see whether it works or not. So, let's listen to this music that has been shared by Regi, and we will listen to it. And then I'll see if I can overlay it with the beautiful photos, right? But if it doesn't work, while Regi is talking while we're having our Talanoa, I will also have some beautiful art running in the background. Yeah, so let's do it that way. Buluvinaka Miriam Mavere Valu, and to all my Fijian brothers and sisters who are logging in as well, thank you so much for supporting our Samoan sister here. So here we go. So let's go and listen to our music, and let us reflect on the lives of these two very creative singers and musicians. I'll say the names one more time. Atualevao Heinrich, King Kong Meredith, and Samoa Meredith. Okay, so here we go. Enjoy this beautiful piece.
Oh, sweet little darling. Oh, I love so much to see. Sawia, oh dear. Wale wale fia fia. Iate ode tau sala. Mau fulinga ata ata. Wale ngalo fulinga. Yo ma pa pa. Wale Falvoina, oh, darling. Tangasia, Mileola. Yetanu, Momoa. Te wane ita ilo fatu. Fa'ape o ia te au. Walengalo folinga. Ia mafaufauma. Walenga tia. Aloha no faya o tia. Oh, sweet little darling. I wanna know so what you can see. Nuafela nuai. Hey, oh, fetu olela.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that beautiful music with us, Reggie. I was hearing a word, is it Fetu and Langi? Is Fetu to do with the stars?
Yes, yes, it is. Stars of the heavens, Fitu Lelangi.
Oh,
You are the star of the heavens.
so beautiful. I could connect some of the words and oh my goodness, so that's what it meant. So thank you so much for that, Reggie, and thank you so much for everyone who are joining in today. There's quite a number of friends who are joining us online, Reggie. So maybe at this time, if you would like to introduce yourself to us, just share with us a little bit about yourself, and also maybe connect that to the beautiful music we've just heard.
Yeah, Paptai Lava, Dr. T. Yeah, Patalofa atu le paia male mamalu o le aufio ile aso. Greetings, everybody, and welcome to today's event. I was so excited to prepare and be here today with Dr. Tarisi, and I've been listening in to everyone else's event, the talks and the Talanoa, and it's really exciting to get to know each other and hear more. My name is Vatue Regina Antoinette Meredith Fitiao. I'm from the village of Leone in Tutuila, American Samoa. And I am the youngest of 4 children. My father is Atuilevao Heinrich Anthony King Kong Meredith. And my mother is Eleanor de la Peña Meredith. I'm Afakasi. I'm half Samoan, half Mexican. And I was born in San Diego. My father was in the Navy. And I was born in all of us were born in San Diego. But when he decides to retire in the 1970s is when he decides he wants to come home to American Samoa. So we arrive, it's Christmas. It's like 3 days before Christmas, probably December 21st. It's the hottest time of the year. We're melting. My brother and I, our sisters had already been married and moved away, and it was just really it was a real change for us growing up as kids. We were so used to being in Hawaii, going swimming and doing so many things, and then we come here, we can swim here, but it was just a whole different world for us. Anyways, my father, I'll tell you about how he got King Kong and how it affects me, because it does, and it's really beautiful too. I'm always proud when someone says something to me regarding that name. My mother, she is a first generation from Lakeside, California. And Eleanor, Regina, when she got here, when Dad brought us home, she said, "This is my home," and decided to live her entire life, the rest of her life here, and became really involved in so many activities. And she learned what she could in speaking Samoan, as Spanish is her first language. And it was just really wonderful to see that there was this community of multiculturalism here at the time in the 70s and the 80s and right on through, that it embraced people from different parts of the world. And so we became this family of so many different things. And so getting back to my dad and his name, he was born here in Fangatongo in 1933. And that year was the year that King Kong, the first movie King Kong came out. And at the time, we had the Navy here. There was a presence of the United States Navy here. And so anyways, my grandmother, Emma, had my dad. And I don't know if she went to the movies that night, but she went to the movies and saw King Kong. And when she came home, she said, yeah, that's it. This is Kong. And so that name stuck to my dad for life. He was also 12 pounds. I mean, that was also an indicator that he would become King Kong. And everybody, we even have relatives that are named after him from Matautu, grandma's village in Samoa, and their name is Kong. And so it has stuck. Well, regarding me, if I'm in the village and some of the elders that are about my dad's age or maybe a little bit younger, if they mention me, like they say, oh yeah, oh Regi le. And then if somebody doesn't understand, they say, Afafingo Kong. She's the daughter of Kong. And they're like, oh, so that's how that name even associates with me in my identity here in American Samoa. So that's sort of the beginning, Dr. T. I don't know if there's other things you want me to get started in talking about or.
Yeah, that is just wonderful to, also hear about mom's ability to adapt, to the life in Samoa. And then as you mentioned, her first language was Spanish, and how easy was for her was in terms of conversing in Samoan. I'm sure it was immersion for her.
Yes, actually, she learned some of the Samoan. There were always people willing to help, family members and others willing to help. She never grasped the Samoan language fully, but she knew enough that was respectful enough that she could get by when she was, in front of others. And my mother always held herself very respectfully. She learned how to siva Samoa, and it was just really this beautiful time for us. My brother and I both, we reflect now that we're in our 60s at how beautiful a childhood upbringing we both had, where our dad was this really multifaceted, talented person. He could play the steel guitar, ukulele, and he could sing, and he was in the Navy. He could build cabinets. I mean, he did all these things. And then our mom, she sewed all our clothes. And so we were around a wealth of creativity when we were kids that kind of like, it leaned off on us too. And then, and I'll talk a little bit about my brother in a little bit, but how I actually ended up going into the arts, most likely, just being around that kind of creativity. So, and it was funny too, because being Afakasi and my father's first language is Samoan and my mother's first language is Spanish, they had to find a way to meet in the middle. And so they felt the best practice would be to make sure that both my brother and I spoke English as best as possible. Which, now that we think about it, now that I think about it, it is difficult because my Samoan is, intermediate, primary intermediate. I understand Samoan, I understand Spanish, but just speaking it, fluently, I still want to know more. And I'm always grateful when my family and others always help to assist in those areas that I need touching up, especially Su'a Willisone. He's a tough teacher. My husband, yes.
Oh, that is wonderful. Yeah, for those of you who've been following my this webinar, he will be closing this webinar series. So that's something to look forward to. So we have two more speakers from American Samoa, and it's wonderful that we have Regi here. And then we will have Su'a, who will join us on the first week of May, and that will be the closing of this webinar series. Yeah, so it's been wonderful hearing everyone's stories. And now, I thought I knew Regi, but I'm learning so much more now with her connection even to San Diego. So did you go to school here and then you continued on in Samoa?
Well, thank you for the question, Dr. T. Actually, Dad was stationed in Hawaii. So my first schooling was in the Pacific Islands. So we're with a lot of Polynesian, a real mixed, culmination of peoples there. And I think I'm fifth or sixth grade. I'm going into sixth grade when we come here. And so the rest of my grade school is here in American Samoa at Fiailoa Elementary School, which I loved. It was for kids that struggled in Samoan language. So they put us all together. And then, high school, I spent 9th through 12th going to Leone High School and graduating from Leone, where it was funny, I'm a ninth and 10th grade. I think I had this revelation. I'm a 10th grade. I'm like, in 2 years, I'm going to graduate. And I had this moment of panic. What am I going to do? So I started to hit the books and really work hard because I knew that there were scholarships, the American Samoa government scholarships available to students. And at the time in the 70s, there are 10 scholarships available per high school. And at the time, there was only like 5 high schools here. So when I decide I am going to really work hard to bring my grades up, I graduate from Leone 5th in my class. And already the arts are a part of my thought processes. I knew I had an interest in art when I'm a 3rd grader. And then with being around my parents a lot, who were always creative, it just really helped to solidify that wanting to pursue the arts more beyond high school.
Was it a discussion at home, with mom and dad, for how you decided, in terms of your academic pathway?
No, actually, it was never a part of the discussion. In fact, even thinking about going to college was probably not even on the radar at the time, in that my dad, being that I'm the youngest and I'm a girl, and, that was really a worry for mom and dad. They were like, I don't know if we want you to go to school, to go away to college, And I had to really prove myself. I mean, I had a couple of options. The option was I could graduate, stay here in American Samoa and work. And I definitely didn't want to do that. I just felt like there was just more for me out there. Could have gone into the military, but there weren't really that many people going into the military in here, that I knew of that could be like an influence or an advisor to me. So really my number one goal was to find the means to get off island and pursue a higher degree. And so getting accepted to Washington and Jefferson College in Pennsylvania, my dad says, okay, you can go, but remember, Dad, always remember, with your scholarship in hand, you come back to serve the island for 2 years. The obligation was that we were to serve our community, our island home, for 2 years. And I said, Dad, I'm going to go and I'll be back. And so I went as an open major. I wasn't really an art major yet. I don't declare art major until I'm a sophomore in college, because I was so, you feel really, you're around, I'm in an American school. I'm around all these students who I felt were way ahead of me. Even though English is my first language, I felt like a little bit of intimidation, but, by the goodness of God's grace and just the constant focus of what do I want to do? I took an art history class that really was a turning point for me and said, hey, this is your field. You need to pursue it. And so when I do declare art major, it is art education and art. So I get certified to teach art from the state of Pennsylvania, along with being an art major. And I graduate from college in 1982. So I come back. I come back to serve American Samoa, and they put me at Samoana High School teaching art for 2 years. Yeah, so, it was just wonderful. It was coming back to serve. And then I felt like, well, I don't know how I decided that I needed to go further, just a little bit further. And it might be just because of the salary, the
Mm,
salary pay that was here at the time. I mean, I'm not shy to say that when I entered the workforce here back in 1982, teaching full-time as an art teacher or
mm,
for the Department of Education, I was making $13,000. And, you know, that seems really small, but, you know, it was helping to pay my school loan that many of us may have had or still have. And it was really getting me to become much more solidified in independence and really getting into the workforce. But
mhm,
just felt that I needed to move a little bit further along the lines in the arts. I needed to find myself
mm,
and, you know, what really is my force for the arts.
mm.
Um, so
Um,
I end up going to pursue the Master of Fine Arts, the MFA in painting. Now, all the while, I mean, behind me, you'll see that I have Siapo behind me. All the while, I have been around and immersed in Samoan art. Auntie Mary
Absolutely.
Pritchard, yeah, my great aunt, you know, she's world renowned. We would go over to her house all the time and we were doing Siapo, and I really start getting much more involved in doing Siapo when I'm in, you know, high school. Because when you're kids, you know, you're
Mm,
running to get this and that and paying attention, but not. And so when I get back with my bachelor's degree, I have Auntie Mary come into my classroom and she teaches my students how to do siapo like she had been teaching me. And there was this beautiful, you know, generational relationship of having Auntie come in, you know. She was strict, she was great, she was very clear-minded in her purpose as a siapo maker, and I felt very inspired by her.
mm,
And
yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
and you know, so going to get my master's degree, I'm away for 3 years. Every summer I come home, so I'm around in the community, but I am really focusing on fine tuning the
Mhm,
work that I need to do as an artist and what's my voice? What do I have to say to the world about the work I do? And why is it so different? Why is it important? You know, those kinds of things.
mm, mm,
And when I return, I got a scholarship, Dr. T. I got a scholarship to go again from the ASG. And when I return home, again, my obligation is to serve 2 years here. And I end up serving 32 years here in the arts.
wow.
Yeah. Because
Wow.
I believe in the young people. We have a real talent here. There's a real talent of our young people. And I just felt that there was a need for guidance and support. And so you know, a year later, I get hired on at the American Samoa Community College, and I stay my post for my entire career.
That is amazing. I think I can see the word tautua in action.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yes.
that is just so beautiful to to see. I've read, so many papers, in terms of service. But as you said, you returned to work for 2 years, but you add 30 on top of that. And just your commitment, Reggie, is amazing.
Thank you, Papatsai Lava, Dr. T. You know, it's so funny. I remember somebody asking me one time, well, what? You could have gone back to the States. You could have been doing that. I was like, you know what? This is my home, number one. And I feel connected here, you know. I truly do. It's the people, you know, I'm so grateful to Dad for bringing us home. I understand now why. You know, at first we're like, oh, it's so hot, you know. You know, when you're a kid, you're like, oh, it's so hot. Where's our toys? Where's our bike? Where's our, you know? But then, you know, over the years, you realize just how blessed the journey has been. Yeah. So
That is awesome. And I think, for many of our friends who are listening in right now, I could see the names on the screen and welcoming my students who are in the Zoom room. One thing that I see is that, with our diaspora community, many of us, are thinking of coming back home. And your story today will answer so many people's prayers, Reggie.
I hope so. That's a wonderful, thank you so much, Dr. T. That's a beautiful thing to say. I hope so.
Yes, yes, so that we can actually see what's always being there at home that we don't see.
Yes.
So that's a huge lesson that all of us, can take away from today's Talanoa with you, Reggie, that your dad could see, as far away from San Diego, right? He could see as far away from Hawaii that home is where you should all go back to and look at the blessings that you have so far. You still have so many years in front of you, I tell you, Reggie.
Right, so yeah, and and so even my brother Tony Meredith, he is, just so everybody knows, if you're catching Hawaiian Air anytime soon, open up the Hana Ho magazine. My brother is in Hana Ho. He is a world-class dance champion. And he, like we came home with mom and dad, and we're just around this innate ability of beauty and creativity. And my brother didn't expect, we did not have a conversation like, okay, you go into dance and you go into the visual. Never. It just sort of evolved into finding our niche and just going in faith that we're going to go on cruise control and see where this goes. And Tony Meredith, yeah, look him up. He's sensational.
Wow.
And we sometimes we look at each other and we just laugh and pinch ourselves. We're like, we never imagined that we would be in the arts in this capacity. And
And
so
I
go
think
ahead.
the word you mentioned is world class, right? Both of you. You are also in your class, world class in the arts. And isn't that amazing that your dad, and especially the support from your mom?
Yes, yes, it's so true, and we're just so grateful. We really are. In terms of Siapo, it was funny because you want to do so many things. Your desire, when you have an interest in something, it can be
Mm.
anything. You have this real wide view of what you want to do, and then the next thing, when you start to narrow it in, it starts to speak to you. And so when I returned back with my MFA, having written my thesis, and which was called Visual Dynamics of Change Through Acculturation, it had to be what it was. And I was doing these large paintings, and I was not doing Siapo in any way, but I was exploring the meaning behind the mamanu, the patterns. And I was carving upeti and really kind of holding on to some of the Samoan arts that was, I felt like at the time, a real gentle uh, support mechanism for me. But when I return home and I'm teaching at the college, I realized that there are only Western content courses, art courses being taught there. And after having a really important discussion with Pule Sisina Brownie Tuiasosopo, who at the time was the Samoan and Pacific Studies director,
Mm.
he encouraged me. He says, Reg, I think we need to develop a course that's going to enable our young people at the college to do place-based
Mm.
content in our own Samoan arts. And that's how one of our courses came up. It was Art 161, Indigenous Art Forms. And it opened the door, bringing in the masters, the wood carvers, Sven Ortquist and Auntie Marilyn, because Auntie Marilyn by that time had passed on, and Auntie Marilyn her daughter was doing Siapo. And so I was sort of like a facilitator, trying to get everybody to experience the Samoan arts, because I felt that, there was a need there to lift up the Samoan arts that were just as important as for our identity, besides just the Western arts, which are, of course, extremely important too.
Exactly. I like how you said it, they can be placed together on the same pedestal, the Western arts and, of course, our indigenous art forms as well. That was amazing, Reggie, that you were able to do that, to create. So the Western art form was already there, and then you just created one beside it. Yeah.
But
So
you know, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
carry on, carry on.
Kind of funny. I think that, like I have these points of like realization, where I realized I had to write a paper about art education in Samoa that was going to be presented in Adelaide, Australia. And then after studying, like looking up what's this and that, then I realized, you know what? We don't have enough Samoan art here. We need to really bring it to the forefront.
That is amazing, and it's powerful that you're able to with all your credentials that you acquired from you studying overseas, coming back to the States, and now you're going back home armed, yeah, with the Western education that you have acquired, and then adding into what you just have around you. That is awesome. So I wouldn't mind sharing some of these images. You keep talking and we
Okay,
can just keep looking at some of these photos. Would that be okay?
sure, sure, no problem. Thank you, Dr. T. So,
Yes.
yeah, and in regards to siapo making, it was time to really, like here when I was being a younger siapo maker, we always lift up and support our masters. And
Mm,
so, we had people that were in the field that we always stood by. Like, okay, at one time when Auntie Marilyn, when we'd all be together, I was the one that would determine what tree we're going to go scrape for the oa brown dye. And so when we'd get together, we'd have coffee and cookies or something, they'd say, okay, where are we going today? Or where are we going on Saturday? So, it was just really beautiful how the elders of the art form really sculpted us in a way that everybody had, purpose, and we had reason to do what we do. And then, talk and discuss patterns. And if somebody tried something new, sometimes you'd get some badgering, that like go, yeah, fia pokwa, which means like, oh, you're trying to be smarter than us or something, But it was really beautiful, this harmony of working together with the women in learning how. So starting with Auntie Mary and then going to her daughters, working with them, Auntie Marilyn and Auntie Adeline, I loved it. And then we had other siapo makers that it was only always a handful of us. It was never a lot, but it was enough to keep us going. Well, there was this one day that my grandfather's sister, Auntie
mm,
Elsie, she's going to leave for the States. She's in her 80s.
mm,
Her daughters have come to get her and
mm.
they're going to take her away. They're going to take her to live in the States.
Wow.
And when I was a kid, when we'd go over to her house, I used to always see this upeti board, a big cardboard in her sitting room.
Mm.
And every time she'd see me looking at it, she'd say, "This is my mother's board." She'd always say that to me.
Oh.
As I got older, and now, the time she's going to leave, I said to my dad, I wonder if Auntie Elsie's going to take that board of great grandma's. And he goes, well, you should go over there and ask her. So I take, I'm so scared to go ask, but I ask her, Auntie, if just in case, because I didn't want it to go to somebody else, but just
Yes.
if you need someone to take care of great grandma's upeti board, I will take good care of it. And so she says to me, okay, I'll think about it. So I had to wait for like 3 days, and then finally the phone, not a cell phone, it's the rotary phone. She calls and she says for me to come over. And when I go over, she says, this is for you. You take good care of that. And that board was actually, I think, a sign that it was meant to be that I needed to really engage full throttle into being a steward for siapo, the siapo art form, because my great grandmother was a siapo maker, and my grandmother and my aunties, and now it had trickled on down.
Mm.
So
And thank you for doing that, for the current generation, and I think the future generations, in Samoa. I'm sure I'll speak on their behalf. Just being so thankful to you, Reggie, and of course to your siblings and to your beautiful parents who saw the future before you did. And again, thanking you for returning to Samoa, not for 2 years, but for 32 years. And now I'm looking at this beautiful beach right here with these beautiful birds. Would you like to go through and tell us the story through these beautiful photos that you've shared with us, Regi?
Well, this is Rose Atoll. It's actually 180 miles from us. It's a bird and turtle refuge, and it is protected by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. And when I went there, it was so beautiful, so pristine, and it's just the morning, where you see the real beauty and richness of God's world. And I thought it's a part of the Samoan archipelago, and it's the farthest U.S. turf in the United States, is the way that they describe this piece of land. Is very small, little small atoll. Yeah.
And so beautiful. Did you spend the day there or a
Yes,
couple of hours?
we took a 4-day, we took a boat. You can only get there by boat. And so we actually went with the person who was actually working there.
Mhm.
And we helped to count like how many hatchlings had occurred with turtles, and looked around, and it was just really, you just really give thanks. You're so grateful to see something that is really untouched by others, by boats and humans, in a sense, that you see God's wondrous beauty in front of you. Every now and then some of the tide will bring in like trash, or and we were picking up things like that. But the monitoring of a place that is so special,
Mm.
it's definitely something to remember.
That is beautiful. And here, wow. So for those of you who are watching, who just joined us as well, Regi Meredith Fitiao is a well-known, contemporary artist and heritage artist in her own right, but also she's working with Siapo, or for those of us who know the word tapa, that is known across the Pacific, Masi in Fijian or Ngatu in Tongan. She works with Siapo. So over to you, Regi, with this image.
Yeah, this is actually ua. So what I was doing was I was peeling off, taking the inner saileua, you're going to peel the inner from the outer. So the green part is the outer bark, and the whiter top part is the part that we will condition, taking off all the green debris to groom it before we beat it. And I just thought, I love the fibers. I love that and the siapo has this beautiful fibers within it. And when we siapo makers, we look at our materials, it smells good, it looks good, you take care of it, it takes care of you. And it's a strong tree, a little tree, it's like broom handles in the yard that you constantly nurture and take care of, pinching the leaves and checking to make sure there's no weeds. And it's really a beautiful species, the paper mulberry.
Paper mulberry. And I'm so glad, you mentioned the size of the tree. For those of you who haven't seen this tree before, I think that's the one that she was cutting in the first image. So it's a very, very tiny, tiny looking tree there.
Yes,
And then you see this, huge, how many meters long, cloth that can be made from it. It's so beautiful. And again, thanks for your patience, for all of you, our beautiful artists.
so then these are just designs. I just thought I'd throw in some designs of patterns, the mamanu. This one's, a lot more contemporary, but you see the, like the yellow triangular, that's the aliao, the troca shell. And you might see like, it looks like black and white. They look like zebra stripes, but that's the amoafai, the heart of the banana. And there's, Auntie Mary, she wanted you to know your mamanu, name it, know it, its resource, And so when we teach Su'a Wilasonia and I now, we have our nonprofit, Polango Letatau Malanga Nganu Fa'asamoa.
Right.
And our nickname is Fa'asamoa Arts. And, we tell the kids, hey, you better know your name, spell it right, say it correctly, what's its source. And really, we want to instill those things that were given to us when we were kids, and for continuity's sake.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that. For those of you listening, yeah, the power of names. So if you know the names of all of these things, it's really, really important. Wow.
Yeah,
Look
this
at
is
this.
this is a po'ongo. This is our brush. So it comes from the po'ongo tree, the pandanus. And so when it looks, I think the nickname is tourist pineapple. So when it comes
Mm-hmm.
off, they sui leula, they make a ula fala, for the chiefs, the matais, or siapo makers, we use it, we trim it using the scissors and we make our brushes. It is the brush to use if you're making a siapo, on our side. We Samoa, we like to use because the dye, when it lifts or absorbs the dye in this brush, it's perfect in the line, in the stroke. Yeah, we like that. I don't know. What do they use when they make masi, Dr. T? Is it the
Yeah,
same brush
yeah.
or?
For us in Fiji, we have the stencils
Oh,
that
that's right.
yeah. So like in Tonga they have the kupesi below. Yeah. And then for Fiji, we have the stencil and then they just rub on top, but they normally just use the piece of ngatu or the piece of tapa as like a sponge and then they just tap all over the stencil. Mm.
That's right. It's beautiful. The masi is
Mm.
beautiful, and the ngatsu too.
Yeah, we were blessed last week to have Tui, Emma Gillis, and her mom Sulueti, Fiamea Barros from Vava'u. We hosted them here in Cal State, LA for a week, and I look forward, Reggie, to host you maybe next year to join us
Yay.
here. Yeah,
Beautiful. Thank you.
that'll be really awesome. Look at this.
This is just a siapo mamanu. We have two types of siapo. So behind me, this is siapo LA, where we use a carved board. In fact, Sua Wilasone carved the board that this design is coming in from. And then we had people from the community come and highlight using the paongo brush. And then the one on the screen there is a siapo mamanu. This is a freehand design. This is the design style that Auntie Mary and the women of Leone, like Colone Leoso and Tuiuli Faivai, they were the ones that were doing a lot of the freehand design using the po'ongo brush. And this is what's really special about this one. I was just in Tasmania, maybe a month ago,
Mm-hmm.
for an art show, and I took this one down to finish. And so the First Nations community of Tasmania, that were there at our workshop, finished the orders, and it was just really a beautiful, interaction, collaboration.
Wow, that is awesome. Yeah, this cultural exchange, yeah, isn't it so powerful on so many levels, yeah?
Yes.
So here we are.
There.
This is the drawing in action.
So yes. So you see how that brush is used, and this one's really big, but it doesn't matter. You can get that. You can trim your brush really nice, and it will. It's just a wider. Sometimes some siapo makers like it the thinner brush, but me, I'm like, if it works, we're going with that one.
That
Just
is awesome, man. Thank you. Thank you so much, Reggie. For those of you who are listening in or those of you in the Zoom room, if you have any questions, you can type it on the chat. Have any comments for Reggie? But aren't we so blessed to be hearing directly from her with her work with the Siapo? Is this in a gallery, Reggie?
Yes, this is actually in Lutravita, Tasmania, and just to show you this wall, Sua Willisones is there to the far right, and then we have two students that are in this show from ASCC. They're beginners, but the beautiful thing about the show was showing that there's this continuity of knowledge being strung through, or it's being strung throughout. And then to the far left is one of our examples of Siapo LA, and you just kind of see a variety of Samoan Siapo that's on display.
Mhm. And they actually can go into any gallery in the world. Yeah. So this is amazing that our art can be accepted and can be shown in any galleries, Reggie. This is
Yeah.
amazing.
Oh, thank you. Oh, and then, the Samoa Arts, our nonprofit, we've only been in existence for like 5 years. So what Sua Willisoni and I hope to do as we continue in our daily walk in the arts is to perpetuate the art forms, namely siapo, wood wayfinding, wood carving, and for Sua, he's a tupunga tatatao as well as a very avid siapo maker. Both of us come from the country.
Mm-hmm.
But teaching the kids is really critically important. So you see Boys and Girls Club there to the left. We have little ones. We don't care how old they are. We're going to hand them a brush, show them how to stroke, and look, they're just so into it. And as well as our older students here to the right, just to kind of show you that we want them to come and work with us. We open our doors and perpetuate the siapo, especially as a starting point for them.
Look at their faces. They're just so into it. Yeah, the concentration, that is amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, these are the large panels that are going to be going into the Falefono. That's our legislature building. And we were commissioned to do 30 of these that are acoustic panels. They're 3 foot wide by 10 foot long. And so Sua Willisoni is going to do the carving. So instead of doing a small carving, which is a usual size, like maybe 1 foot by 3 feet,
Mm-hmm.
he decides to carve an entire piece of wood.
Wow.
It's 3 by 10. And then my task is to do the rubbing method. And what started out as just our project,
Yeah.
people started to hear that we were working on this project. And so they'd call and say, they go, Reg, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm busy over here painting. Come over. So then they would come over and then I'd hand them a brush. So if they want to talk to me, they got to paint.
They gotta be doing some work. That's great.
Dr. Tarisi, I'm telling you, we've had over 100 people coming and going to help. It became a community project. People coming willing to volunteer painting. One of the beautiful moments was when Auntie Pat Letuli, I think she's 89. She was doing siapo with Auntie Mary when she was 17, came in and did the highlighting with us. And so I have documentations of this project that has started out small and has become really large. And we're so proud. The opening of the building is July 11th, and these are going to be on display in the Senate and the House of Representative chambers. They're acoustic panels. So they'll serve a purpose, and they're going to be listening in to all the laws and the discussion of what our lawmakers are going to be deciding upon.
Aren't we blessed, ladies and gentlemen who are listening in, that you're seeing what will end up in the legislature in American Samoa? And look, 2 artists, who husband and wife, and so creative in their own way, in their own right, sharing their love of the arts with everybody. Wow, that is amazing. So let's see how many more. Oh, yes, here. So these are a few more slides, and this is just so beautiful. Thank you, everyone, for joining in today. We learned so much from Regi. Regi, continue.
Well, paying homage to those who have always believed in, what you're trying to do. I had to take my hat off, both Willisoni and I take our hat off to Dr. Adrienne L. Kepler, who was at the time at the Smithsonian, who we loved her. I started working with her in 2013 in a TAPA project that led to so many other things, and she actually is the writer of the foreword for Auntie Mary Pritchard's book that was written 40 years ago. But we always pay tribute and homage to them. And then this is Greta Hansen, who was a lead curator, teaching me how to stabilize tapa, or, and our hats off. And then I just wanted to share that we had the best time at ATOM, and you see Lorena and let's see, who is that? Tali and
Yeah.
Willitone and then also Erica. Just wanting to say that, when you network and you reach out with love and positively are, wanting to share with others, it's just a wonderful reciprocation,
Mm,
those things.
absolutely. And then your love and passion for your work will take you places. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Wow.
this is my
It's a
great
beautiful
grandmother's
thing.
board, the board that I told you that Auntie Elsie gave me.
Yes.
I finally do a rubbing alongside my Auntie Langi Lea Laitafer. She's from Savai'i. And so it's actually kind of a three-person artist work of art. My great grandmother, Saiselu Tuimalea Li'ifano, Auntie Langi Lea Laitafer, Ma'u o Regi. So to put us all together on this one piece is just really meaningful for me because it confirms my continuing to lift up the siapo making.
And the whole transmission of knowledge. That's powerful.
And so these are just examples of siapo. I just thought I would just do, decorate and adorn images and share those with you too. This was the one at Native Hawaiian Pacific Islanders that we did that Sunday.
NHPME. Oh, beautiful.
So those little insects is the atualoa, the centipede.
Yes.
Very important mamanu in Samoan art, both the tatau and the wood carving and the siapo.
That is beautiful.
Just to kind of do, yeah, and then something more contemporary, if you're looking at these circular, that's actually a kawanga. So a kawanga is where when you're grating the coconut and then you're going to squeeze the coconut to get the coconut milk. I thought, well, I'm going to use that to show the fibrous beauties of these this kawanga. So I was in a show and I did these combinations of these portals where you look through and can see other things using the kawanga as a source of a circular energy.
That is amazing. Yeah, the beauty of fibers. And for many of us who are watching, you'll see that a lot of these things you just have at home. But if you do it in such a way that it is done in a very artistic way, it can surely end up in a gallery.
Yes. Yeah, just paintings, different things. You see that Atualoa again. Just the use of having respect for the patterns, knowing what they are, and then bringing them to a contemporary field, being given, like, working with your mamanu in a way that has purpose.
Wow, that is amazing. That is amazing. And look at this one.
Yeah,
That's-
I don't know if in Fiji, Dr. Tarisi, but
Mhm.
the lauki, the tea leaf.
The tea leaf, yeah, we call it vasili in our language.
Okay, this is lauti. And you get the
Ah,
green one, it's for when you have, it's healing. So it's for when you have pain, body ache. If you get the red one, it's for headaches. So, this was about healing and understanding the strength and power of God's ability to give us things around us that take care of us.
The symbiotic relationship of
Yes.
humans and nature. That is beautiful.
So these are just imagery of, this is some of our landscape that's around us just for random photos. And this is a painting of the morning.
I think many of us who haven't been to Samoa, I've been there, was fortunate. I've been to Leone, and I've been around Tutuila. If you haven't been to Samoa, America Samoa, looking at these photos, you better start buying your tickets. Bula Opeta. Yeah, beautiful. Wow, look at this piece.
Oh, Manu, this is done with the ango, the yellow turmeric dye. So
The
they're also
turmeric.
medicinal quality. So
Yes.
Auntie Mary was always certain that we knew, where the black comes from, the lama, the brown, the oa, which is our main color, and then the red loa, and the yellow, the ango, that turmeric is medicinal. We use it for cooking. It has a lot of different things that we can use it for, and especially for siapo as well.
That is awesome. I'm just hearing the language. You use oa. We say koka in Fijian. The ango, we call it zango or sango.
Okay.
Yeah, just the connection with our language, yeah?
I love that.
Yes.
Oh yeah, this is me working. So, a day for me, if I'm going to work on my ua, I cut it in the afternoon when it's ready. So I'm looking at it like 1.5 inches, in diameter. And then we let it rest until the next day. You let your stalks of ua rest, and then you begin the process. So this is just it's rested now. I'm working on sai. I'm going to separate the bark from the inner core. So you can see the thickness there. It's like 1/8 of an inch thick before I separate the outer from the inner bark.
I still remember, how, when they bite, sometimes you see our aunties or grandma, they bite the end and then they pull. Again, the ability, yeah, to use
Yes.
whatever they have around them. It's beautiful.
Amazing. Oh, Sue and I, we are asked as cultural artists to help launch a quarter, and we've got our Sua actually made a boat. So he's got our apaula out. It's a double-hulled Samoan canoe, alia, and we are blowing the fuafua, to announce we're going to head out. But you have us in action there.
It's just great to see that, you both complement one another, Regi.
Soft side. Now we're on the boat. This is us coming. Sue is always, he says, let's fly our colors. He always wants to fly the colors. So we always have the American Samoa flag and the American flag. That's important, especially for us here that we're a U.S. territory. And we just finished celebrating our 125th United States relationship under the United States flag since 1900. We just finished celebrating last week.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yes, it is.
And a one and only.
Yes, Embo, he's going to be 16. I'm sorry, I had to throw him in there. He's our Papillon Chihuahua who's been everywhere. And this is for Noelle Kahanu because she loves Embo. And I just had to put that in.
Yeah, when I saw the picture, I was like, oh, I think our NHP team and our team in Palm Springs, I'm sure the others who have known you will surely smile when they see this photo.
Yes.
So for those of you who are watching, who looking at this beautiful picture, this is a wonderful companion for Regi. Yeah, and they always travel together. And
Mhm.
I'm sure Imo has so many cousins all over the world. And so many aunties and uncles too. Beautiful. Wow. Is this the one on your backdrop? No?
No, this is a different one. I'm sorry. I was just like feeling this is a different one that's behind me. But just to show you how, you can the siapo ele, how important it is. It's repetition of patterns because of the board when it is rubbed, the rubbing method.
The rubbing method. Yeah, because wow. Because the Tongans they have the kupesi, but you have the board, yeah? Mm.
Yes. Just to show you examples, siapo mamanu. So there, so those differences of knowing. And I believe that, Auntie Mary was really keen. She didn't leave things out for us in regards to tackle the natural canvas, our what she wanted us to know.
Beautiful, beautiful gifts that she left behind.
So these are just, yeah, and these are just samples to show you of the differences of the variety.
Look at that. I can still see the centipede here, right?
Yeah, sort of like in a procession of
Yeah.
relaxed to extremely stressed, you know, because they crawl faster when they go faster. This one, I believe, was shown in the Solomon Islands for the Festival of Pacific Arts.
In 2012.
Yes.
Yes. This is you at work. This is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, and this is our studio, and I'm actually beating some ua right now, just to give you an idea. It's hard work. My hat's off always to the women before and today. Siapo making is hard work, and of course there are men that also do siapo, but there's something really profoundly
Mm.
self-satisfying when you get done, especially beating the bark. It might take you all day, but there's something really beautiful about the process that makes you want to do it again and again. Yeah.
Mhm.
Just to
Mhm.
share, yeah, because I'm a painter as well. I do siapo and then I'm also a painter. Right now so my day right now, I'm down at the national park. I'm finishing up a large mural and I'm a real advocate for the ocean and the marine life. And so this painting is actually at the airport, our international airport.
Yeah.
To get to the last of the few there, Dr. Tutty, so you can go ahead and press forward.
Yeah.
With the more recent one that I'm working on.
Mm.
This is also Rose Atoll out at Utule. This was a large project that 10 of us artists did. Everybody had a different marine visual. And I think the next one was the one that might be,
Wow.
this is a big one at the airport. I believe it's the next one that is the one I'm working on presently. Oh, sorry. There it is. This is the one I'm working on at the national park right now, and it's called the marine debris. And so we are trying to, engage students in understanding how trash, because that roof there is
Yeah.
now filled with a net all of different types of debris that comes on shore via the currents.
Yeah.
But when the kids come into the national park, part of their pitch to them and their content is to get students and young people to be more aware of how important it is to keep our ocean clean for the world that lives below.
That is beautiful.
So I'm almost done with this one. And then that's my self-portrait.
I can see your eyes there saying talofa to all of us. Wow. Amazing. Wow. Look at the power of the arts. Yeah. Sharing our thoughts, sharing our memories, and making that connection. And what you've done today is you've connected you to those of us who are, those of your relatives, yeah, who have passed on, and such a beautiful story of gifting that you've just shared with us as well, Regi. Wow. Thank you so much. And what about the one behind you?
This one is also part of those big pieces that are going to go to the Falefono. So we're just waiting for them to come and pick them up because we have the opening is in July. So we have a little bit of time. So right now they're resting here in the studio until that time. And then we'll get them over there and get them hung up to serve the purpose of why they were made.
Absolutely. And for you, Reggie, for those of colleagues who are listening in, if they happen to visit American Samoa and visit Tutuila in the future, and they would like to get in touch with you, how can they do that? How can they also support your non-profit organization, Reggie?
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. T, for that. paasamoaarts.com. And we have a website, and we just have a new book coming out. It's going to actually launch on Friday called Siapo Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow. It was written by Mary Ann Peck, who gives a synopsis of stories of some of the tapa makers that have been continuing on the teachings of our Auntie Mary, our master, Mary Pritchard, and then how others who are in a younger generation have been learning from us. And so that's going to launch on Friday, but you'll find us online. And if you want to get in contact with us, that's probably the best way, faasamoaarts.com.
I'm typing it on the chat there. So for any of you who will be visiting, or even if you are online and would like to see, more of the work that Regi and Sua are doing over in Samoa, American Samoa, please check them out. And we are so blessed to be shown those beautiful photos. She selected it to be accompanied by the music, but things change along the way. And look, the story that Regi has been done in a visual way. So thank you so much, Regi. I can see Elinda is here. Aloha, Elinda. Good to see you. Would you like to say hi to Regi and to our audience?
Of course, hi Reggie, and hi. So Imu in the picture, of course, those that are part of ATOM and HPME, we got the opportunity to meet Imu. But I'm sorry, I was just it's kind of quiet. Okay, sorry. Anyway, so yeah, Reggie, thank you for sharing those beautiful shuffle. I have one myself. I think I left it here for you to see. But thank you for sharing your great work with everyone and for sharing all the beautiful artwork that you have displayed in American Samoa. I was just here. Sandy's here also in Saipan. And we had a big event last night for her.
That's great.
She was here, so they're heading down to American Samoa, I think, in a couple of days,
Oh, fantastic.
to visit, to have that Creative West training or info for artists like you to share their funding
Yeah.
opportunities. But thank you for sharing. And sorry, I kind of logged in there. We were really busy here at the library. We have a big event as well. But it's always a pleasure hearing from you and sharing your wisdoms, word of wisdoms, and of course, including them, our elders, our ancestors, and the good work that you do. Thank you for those friendly reminders to us. But yeah, and to all who are listening, you guys have the opportunity to hear from one of the best yapo maker that I know from American Samoa.
Thank you so much, Elinda. Beautiful sharing, and wish you all the best in Saipan. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. Take care.
Take care. Wow. Thank you again to those of you who are logging in online. I think I can see Dr. Michael. Oh, there you go. That's Elinda's.
Little purse I made. Oh my goodness. Oh my
A
goodness.
beautiful gift from Reggie that I
Oh,
keep
this
close
is
to my
cute.
desk and close to my
Oh,
heart. And so I just wanted to share this wonderful wallet that she made for me personally. And I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to put it here as a souvenir to remind me of the good person that she is and the great shampoo maker and
sister.
artist.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Elinda. Yes, indeed. Reggie, she is amazing in her line of work. It's not just Siapo, as you can see, there's other contemporary artwork that she does. And Reggie, um, thank you for blessing us. Thank you from all of us who are listening in online. We have even guests who are connecting in as far as West Papua. Also, Dr. Michael Bavakwa greeting us from Guam. Also, a few of our colleagues from Canberra in Australia, Opeta Alefayo, and also a Fijian sister of ours who works in Nauru. So it's lovely to see the regional spread of those who have come in to support your presentation today. So Reggie, to wrap up today, what advice would you give to our young ones or even older ones who would like to pursue the pathway of the arts?
Yes, Papatai Lava, Dr. Tarisi, and I just wanted to say it's been such a wonderful time talking with you and going down a memory lane where we speak of ancestors and people who have really plowed the way. I think the one thing I would want to say to the young people is to take time to listen carefully to the environment around you, to the peacefulness, the quietness, to the things that your parents say, your family says, to listen to, of course, the whispers of God, to take time to focus in on the things that you might want to do. Perhaps you have an artistic side to yourself. To be humble with it, to allow it to show that side that you might have, and reach out to others that you feel like teachers and those that might be able to help to nurture your way. I know that my teachers were a big help to me, and so it's with those things that help to develop us into the things to the people that we are, that I am more than honored now to say that I'm a steward of the arts, that Siapo is one of them for the sake of my Samoan side. And I hope to continue to do that. And may the good Lord also reveal to you what your talent is. And I say these things with real inner, with all heart and soul. Tai lava.
Vinaka wakaleu whawhitai, mahalo nui, malo au Peter, and all our Pacific thank yous to you, Regi. We are just so blessed that for the last hour, you've taken us on this beautiful journey all across the Tuituila, and for you just sharing your journey back to San Diego, to Hawaii, and just reminding us the beauty of home. That home is where the heart is. And I'm sure when your dad brought you back with your siblings and mom, the blessings of the arts of Samoa was there waiting for you. And what a beautiful thing that you didn't just hold it to yourself, but you shared it with everybody and the rest of the world. So from all of us, Regi, whawhetai tele lava.
Tai lava, whawhetai lava, takuti.
Thank you. And we send all our greetings to your beautiful students who are waiting for you too. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tarisi. Thanks, Linda, sister.
Naka, you have a beautiful afternoon, Regi. And Linda, you have a beautiful morning over there in beautiful Saipan. You all have a beautiful day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Pasoifua.
Pasoifua.
Bye.
Thank you, Dion. Thanks for joining in. Appreciate it. Beautiful. Wow. To those of you who have been sitting in with us for the last hour, weren't we all blessed? Yeah. To have Regi join us from the island of Tutuila in American Samoa. She shared with us the beauty of the fibers of the paper mulberry, and she has been blessed by her mom, Eleanor, who is of Spanish background or Hispanic background in Mexico. And her dad is Artur Levao Heinrich King Kong Meredith. Yeah, so his decision to have them return to American Samoa enabled Regi to absorb the arts as a passion, but then she turned it into something that she could do in academia. She was also able to have scholarships that allowed her to travel over to the States, did her studies, went back to Samoa to do, completed her undergrad, went back to teach, and then went back again with another scholarship to do her master's in fine arts. And now she's running her own non-profit organization in Samoa. So if you can follow the fa'asamoarts.com. So if you can go online and follow their page on their website, they also have their website, but also on social media. So she's currently working in American Samoa, but she travels all around the world sharing her love of Siapo. And siapo is the Samoan arts or Samoan fiber from the paper mulberry. So all across the Pacific, it is known as tapa. Yeah, but each island nation have their own individual names. Yeah, so for Samoa they call it siapo. In Fiji we call it masi. In Tonga they call it ngatu, and in Niue they call it hiapo, and in Hawaii they call it kapa. Yeah. So the beauty of this tree, right? The paper mulberry tree, the ability for this tree to have its fiber extracted and expanded so that it can be able to make beautiful fabrics for us to use as room dividers, also used in religious purposes back in the day, also to be used for us to wear, also to be used as blankets, also to be used as wicks for our light. And the list goes on and on and on. Okay, and the big lessons that we can learn from Regi is for us to accept our amazing indigenous arts and the indigenous knowledge that comes with it, that we can all learn and be empowered by it. Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate you all for joining me and Regi on this very special webinar. So from here in Calstate, LA, in Los Angeles, we bid you goodbye and wish you all the very best with everything that you do today and the rest of the week. And we will also have 2 more speakers from Samoa. Next week, we will have Lorena, and then the following week, we'll have Sua Fitiao, who is Regi's husband. He is a Tufunga Tatatau, who is a tattoo artist, and he will be here to also share his story with us. So from me, the Nakamaka level, the Samoa.